All right, everyone, welcome back to the Land of Chem. I'm your host and the author. My name is Jeffrey Drum. Thank you all so much for joining me again. All right, everyone, welcome back. Now, today's episode features a series of 2 sites that completely changed my understanding and appreciation for the sophistication and complexity of the megalithic technology of the ancient Japanese Jomon civilization, and you won't believe what you are about to see. It completely blew my mind. This is Sunday Site Visit 80 from the Kanayama Megaliths, known as Japanese Stonehenge, and the Hoshigami star viewing rocks. If this is the type of content you're interested in regarding the ancient technology of a lost civilization utilizing physics and chemistry, and the function of the Egyptian pyramids and other ancient structures from across the world, this is the channel for you. So please subscribe to the Land of Chem here on YouTube, and don't forget to click that little notification bell so that you do not miss the new episodes that premiere twice per week. Please like, comment, share, and stay tuned. If you want to help support this channel and get access to exclusive research and unreleased footage that you will not see anywhere else, check out the Land of Chem members only channel and thelandofchem.com if you want to pick up a copy of the book or grab some merch. Links in the video description below. If you want to follow me on Instagram or on X, my handle is @thelandofchem. Also, don't forget, if you haven't already, please go subscribe to Let's Go with Lex and G so you don't miss out on the rest of the amazing content from our Japan adventure. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you all so much for the support. I think that is it for today's intro. So without further ado, let's get right to it. All right, everyone, here we go with tonight's episode. Now, as a preface to what you are about to see, let me read these 2 short excerpts regarding the Kanayama megalith site. Quote, 5,000 or more years ago, Jomon people constructed 3 megalithic sites as a living observatory for the sun's passage in the sky during its yearly cycle. These megaliths are tucked away in the Iwaya mountain valley of Hida Kamayama, a mysterious ancient unspoiled land. They are the most sophisticated astronomical megalithic constructions ever recorded in history anywhere. The enormous megaliths were shaped and ingeniously assembled, creating small apertures through which the sun would shine on certain days of the year at certain times of the day. From these observations, a calendar is determined which incorporates the 4 and 128-year leap year cycles. This calendar is 15 times more accurate than the current globally employed Gregorian calendar. It will take 51,000 years before making an error of 1 day. Thanks to years of tireless research, we now know that the megaliths were used to make regular observations of the sun as it rose and set between certain stones at important times during the changing of the seasons, particularly around the summer and winter solstices and the spring and autumn equinoxes. Careful observations of shadows and sunlights on the stones have shown that the builders of the megaliths were very much aware of the importance of those pivotal days of the year. For instance, it is clear that the builders saw the sky as consisting of 4 zones through which the sun traveled throughout the year. They also made good use of the natural environment of the site, carefully considering the geography and surrounding mountains. And here you can see the configuration of the megaliths at the Kanayama Stonehenge site and a preview of the solar viewing apertures. And for now, I will leave it at that, and will let you see the majesty of this bewilderingly complex site for yourself. So now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I hope you enjoy Sunday Site Visit 80 from the Japanese Stonehenge, the Kanayama megaliths, and the Hoshigami star viewing rocks.
But if it's like that old, they must talk about the astral position back then.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the next site on our expedition, the Kanayama Iwaya Megaliths, otherwise known as the Japanese Stonehenge. And believe it or not, this arrangement of immense megaliths was discovered to be a solar and astronomical observatory. So what you are about to see is a man-made arrangement of stones used to observe and calculate solstices and equinoxes based on the reflection of the sun in certain areas of the megalithic configuration during these solar events. And we were driving up and I was blown away by the size of these things. And you can probably hear in the background there's a gorgeous river waterfall right behind us. And we'll walk around in this direction in just a moment, but we'll head up the pathway to this first grouping of 3 megaliths first. And these things are huge. Holy shit. And again, here's another display describing how the sun reflects off of certain areas of the megaliths. Pretty wild. My lovely wife Alexa.
This
Ancient
is crazy.
Odysseys.
Representing.
Our friend Taru. All right. The word immense doesn't even come close to describing the size of these things. Hey babe, come up here and stand by one of these. Because I don't know if just looking at it. And go up this way here. Alright, and you'll see Alexa standing next to these things.
Colossal.
I mean, these things are huge. And they have been split and cut and shaped in such a way as to configure this astronomical observatory. I want to walk up here and take a look.
It's nothing compared to the size of a Stonehenge.
And I wish we could go in there. As with so many other sites, the inner sanctum of the structure is behind lock and key. I'm gonna kind of walk around the outside here so you can get a look at this thing. And so this structure is dated to, approximately 3000 BC, as they say all of this old stuff is. So in the Jomon period, which is the civilization of interest for this part of the expedition, approximately the same date as Stonehenge and the construction of all these other stone circles that we've been investigating. But I don't think there's any way to definitively date the construction of this site. I mean, this thing is just absolutely massive. And the fact that they configured this thing as an observatory is a pretty mind-blowing task. And specifically to choose this site and these massive stones to carve out this observatory with the specific alignments is that is bewildering, to say the least. And there's two sets of megalithic groupings here. This is a set of 3 stones. Yeah, so this cutout here is artificial. And intentional. It's where the sun is in that specific place. Can you say what date this is tracking? This one here? Again, all this stuff is in Japanese.
Yeah.
But so you see the sun here.
Yeah.
So I think which date are they looking at here? This is solar calendar.
Yeah.
Solstice.
This one's autumn and spring and autumn
Equinox.
equinox.
Okay.
Yeah, the one before was about solstice.
Look at how crazy that is. So on the, maybe let's say autumn equinox,
Yeah.
the sun lines up specifically in this little hole right here that they've created. Again, carving this out, carving out the face of this megalith to create this portal to track the movements of the sun. That is crazy.
Yeah. It's a little bit too much hustle to do it. Just for...
Yeah, it seems like a lot of work. All right, so we're gonna go lights. I know she's over there filming. I just want to make sure. You good?
Okay.
Okay.
There's a way in.
Oh, down inside there? Ah, okay.
Maybe we can do an experiment.
This is a
I can hold some.
spider web. No, 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 I'm good. The problem with getting down in there is getting back out. Okay. Yeah, if I were to hop down there, it would be certainly challenging to get back out. But this surface here, this is an artificially leveled surface. This is again another one of the solar alignments where the sun would reflect off of this area. And if you were inside of the cave on a certain day, the sun would illuminate the surface of this rock here.
Can you go inside?
So I could jump down there, but getting back up would be challenging. Yeah, so I just don't want to.
Does it go to the other end or not?
No, so it's basically like a little cave in here. And
oh,
you could.
Do we want to try the magnet meter?
Yeah. So we brought some gear that we're going to test out here today.
Do you have it with you there?
So again, the thing is to stand on the inside. They would have sat on the inside of this little cave and monitored the different alignments. This is crazy. So,
oh, you have it.
yeah. All right. So I don't want to spoil the surprise quite yet. So hang on just a minute. yeah, exactly. All right. We'll be right back. Okay. So aside from the astronomy, we wanted to take a look at some other properties of the site itself. So this is a magnetometer, and what I'm looking at is total magnetic field, and keeping it away from the gear and just looking at the readout, I have a total magnetic field of approximately 38 to 39. It keeps kind of moving back and forth between 38 and 39. And I'll keep everything at the same distance. And the crazy fluctuations on the graph right there are just from me moving my device around. And now, when we come closer to the stones, there's a total magnetic field showing it's bouncing back and forth between 48 and 49, and it had gone up as high as 50. Yep, now it's bouncing back and forth between 49 and 50. So there is a measurable difference in the ambient magnetic field compared to the magnetic field surrounding these stones. And now we're going to step up away from the structure again. So now it's going back down. We're at fluctuating between 46 and 48. And now it's consistently, it's now moving back and forth between 51 and 50. Again, let me step away from everything here, down the path, and then we'll go back up in that crack. Alright, so now I'm standing pretty far away. Again, the fact that they carved this stone into this specific shape as an astrological or astronomical calendar or calculator is wild. Absolutely wild. For this prehistoric Neolithic civilization to be doing stuff like this. And magnetic field here is back to 40 units. Fluctuating back and forth between 40 and 41. And we'll try over here. And it's kind of fluctuating back and forth between 42 and 43. Try back up against this one. Okay, now we're at back at 50, 49.50, 49.50. Okay. Interesting. Alright, so let me put the monitor away now. And we'll walk back down and check out. You want to come with me? I'll let her go first. Pretty good vantage point so you can see the entire site. And the Japanese Stonehenge. It's pretty crazy of a name. Okay, back up, back up, back up, back up, back up.
He's just chilling.
Yeah.
Okay, careful.
Just come behind me.
Okay.
Behind me, please, please. Come on. No, 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 like behind me, behind me. Come on. No, no, no. You go first. Go first, please. Go first. I think from the shape of the head, it is non-venomous, but we don't want to find out. Okay, you're good. Good. Go, 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 go.
Wow.
This little snake right there. Yeah, this section is crazy. I mean, these things are huge. Okay. All right, and here, again, this is, I believe, tracking the North Star. Okay. Oh wow, look at this. So they carved out these 3 notches, and the sunlight lands in the 3 notches. So there's 3 notches and 3 grooves that they carved out, all to track specific alignments. And you can see that there's three grooves here, and then the 3 notches are, trying to point in the viewfinder, here, here, and here. Hey Tara, just heads up, there's a snake on top of this big one on the other side. Yeah. So just heads up. What? There's a snake up there.
Snake?
A snake, hi.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go up
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was letting you know. Yeah, yeah. And all of these little cracks and pathways are all viewing points within this megalithic stone cluster for looking at different. Oh, here's another plaque showing an observation point here. We'll take a look at that. So there's 3 grooves on this one,
Yeah.
and 3 little divots where the sun lands in the 3 groove or the 3 divots on certain days. So they like literally carved this stone.
Yeah.
Here, go stand by here so that I can see some. Go stand right here.
Okay.
Just so you can get some perspective on the size of this thing. All right, so there's Teru. And then look at the size of this rock. Crazy. Okay, let's walk through here, babe. Oh, walk around this way, actually.
So where's the snake?
It's on the,
Not here.
no, on the top of this one here, on the back side. Ah, yeah. So this crack is another. So they split this stone and moved it in such a way that they could track the position of the sun. Look at that. That's pretty crazy. All right, so I want to get the magnetic field inside of this boulder here. So I'm going to step away again. And I'm keeping the device away from the camera so that the magnetic field of the camera isn't interfering with the device. And if I keep everything at a constant distance, the fluctuation, if any, in the magnetic field will be calibrated for the magnetic field produced by the GoPro. All right, so we're at like 44, 45. Okay, if anything, it's gone down. It's now at between 42 and 41. Other way here. All right, so now we're back up to 46, 47. And this stone appears to be granite, which is what we've found at the majority of the other megalithic sites that we've explored thus far. Man, these things are massive. Holy shit. And
At least 7 meters.
yeah. And so this one here, and I think it's saying that if you look up at this point here, there again, the whoever conceived of this idea to create this calendar or calculator, it is absolutely mind-blowing. And I think this is showing that the sun would shine into this little cave here on a certain day. And so now we'll walk between the megaliths and see the little cave. Okay, yep, there it is. All right, so this cave was carved, this little section here. Crazy, yeah. So it's now filled with water down in here, but this section was carved out so that the sun would illuminate this internal cavity on a specific day. So this is another viewing point here where, okay, so this was broken off. Again, now I am highly vigilant for any snakes down in here. And this is showing, so these arrows are where, Tara, what do these say over here? Hey, Teru.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does this one show? So this is depicting sunbeams.
Yeah.
And that the
summer,
sun,
summer solstice.
summer solstice,
Yeah.
the sun rays would come down in here
Yeah.
and land in a specific spot. And this one?
Yeah. So they're talking about like this one. That is the real like solstice, and this one is 30 days before till 30 days after. So they're showing the range of from the solstice day, 30 days before. So it swings like that to that.
Okay. And again, a magnetic field test in here. Let me go from about the same distance, arm length away. Got approximately 41 to 42. Over here on this side, 47 to 48. Okay, so there does appear to be a difference of the megaliths on this side and on this side. Not a huge difference, but so when we tested the other one, it was the same way where the megalith on this side is 40, 41, 42. And then this is 48, 49. So do you have a compass? A compass? Yeah, we left the compass in the car. But I'm imagining, you know, one of this is a north-south axis.
I mean, I have a compass in my.
Yeah, yeah. Another is an east-west axis.
So north, south.
North-south, yeah. So it appears that the magnetic field is stronger on the southern, the northern side, this direction. Yeah, facing this way. So for example, the magnetic field here was stronger than the magnetic field here. Same as over in the split between these two. When I tested this one, it was higher. This one was lower. Beautiful. All right, and then here again, just showing more alignments and how the stones were carved to mark those alignments. I didn't know what to expect when we first came out here, but this is one of my favorite ones so far. This is crazy. Yeah. Again, you have to think of the mind that came up with the idea to do this. Yeah. They found this site with all these huge, immense megalithic boulders of granite, and they decided to carve these things into a solar calculator or calendar. It is wild to think about the brain that came up with this idea. This is crazy. And then this one here, the central grouping, you see this groove here. The cave here, and this flat face here. And let me go back down to the display. So, Tara, to go back to your question, did they move some of these in place? You know, you would think it would be very hard to just find a group of natural stones that were in the exact place that you needed it to create this type of calculator or calendar. So for example, this one, you would think they would have had to move that into place. Which, I mean, this is bigger than any, you know, not
definitely the biggest.
It's huge. I mean, we're talking, you know, as big as anything moved in Egypt in terms of weight. It might not be as long as the unfinished obelisk, for example, but the total mass of this thing is,
it's bigger.
It's huge. So again, here's this configuration with the sun aligning directly into the groove here. The sun beaming down directly into the cave here, the artificial cave down here, and the sun reflecting off of this flattened surface. So this was originally a huge boulder that came around here, and they cracked off the surface of this boulder to expose this face precisely. So I'm a little bit just bewildered to imagine cracking the stone precisely so that it accurately aligns with the sun reflecting on the surface of the stone on a specific day. Not to mention the work that went in up here, which tracked the alignment in another direction. So, I mean, this is beyond what I had expected this site to be. And looking up at these things, it's pretty wild to imagine a ancient prehistoric Jomon person coming up with the idea to do this. That's a brilliant mind. And some pretty sophisticated astronomical knowledge and skill to execute this with the precision required to make it accurate it's mind-blowing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that's it for this episode. This was a wild one, and one of my favorites thus far. From the Kanayama Megaliths. So before we leave the site for today, one more final note on the significance of these solar calendars. And I guarantee you that if they studied this site further, they would also find lunar alignments, both sun and moon tracking in the same structure, exactly like we find at Stonehenge. So why did they do this? Twofold. One, for planning the agricultural season. Everything is predicated upon precise timing for the agricultural season, the production of food. Second, we know that solar and lunar tides are both directly associated to the Earth's telluric currents and lightning. And we've revealed in the series of Sunday site visits during this expedition that lightning is specifically connected to ancient Japanese agriculture, and they were using these stone circle systems and white horse hills to create cumulonimbus thunderstorm clouds to generate lightning, which created atmospheric nitrates, fertilizer for that agricultural season. It will all come full circle during this expedition. Again, justification for all of the immense amount of work and planning that went into exquisitely carving out this granite, solar, and I would bet lunar calculator and calendar here at the Japanese Stonehenge. Planning for the agricultural season and specific timing for the calibration of their cumulonimbus thunderstorm white horse generators that produce lightning and atmospheric nitrogen fertilizers. All right, everyone, welcome back. And today is a follow-up to the Kanayama megalith expedition from yesterday, where we visited the Japanese Stonehenge. And after discussing the site and the structure, we all agreed that it would be absolutely impossible to find a naturally occurring group of large megaliths that were in the correct placement to then be able to carve out this meticulously calibrated astronomical calendar and calculator. So this means that those stones had to be moved into place. Not necessarily moved far, but at least repositioned at the site to enable the correct configuration of the base of stones that they could then alter to create these alignments, viewing points, flattened surfaces, and all of the other components of the site that are integrated into this calendar or solar, also I'd imagine lunar, calculator system. Again, there's no way you find just a random pile of rocks that have the correct base of stone that would be required for the execution of that type of system. They had to move them into place. Again, not necessarily moving them over a far distance, but at least moving them upright, repositioning, perhaps stacking that one. The central group, the trilogy of megaliths at the very beginning, that one was placed on top. And it looked like the bottom had been flattened before they moved it on top. So again, this is an indication that they were moving absolutely massive pieces of stone into the correct position at the site from which they then carved out these vantage points, alignments, reflective surfaces, etc., which makes the entire site even that much more perplexing and more difficult to achieve, because they didn't just find these stones, they had to move everything into place first to provide the foundation for the later carving of all of those components of the site. So that brings us to the site for today. We're at this megalithic park, and there are probably dozens of these unusual megaliths out here, which to me, these are volcanic formations. You can see this massive piece of granite up here, and this layer is volcanic ash stone. So this piece was laid down in a volcanic flow where the megalith of granite was carried on the ash flow. You know, all of this was most likely molten, and then this part has eroded away, this volcanic ash, holding up this massive piece of granite. So this is a natural formation, a volcanic geological formation, as are sort of the rest of these. Again, this is a huge piece of granite sitting on a piece of volcanic ash, and the volcanic ash has mostly eroded away, leaving the more durable piece of granite still sitting on top of the much softer ash stone. However, there's a group of megaliths here at this site known as the star viewing rocks. That's the correct? Yeah, the correct in translation of the Japanese name means the star viewing rocks. Star viewing hills. It was either star, it's related to star viewing, and it's a configuration of megaliths that have also been altered.
Okay, star viewing rocks.
Star viewing rocks. Hoshigami Iwa.
Yeah.
And these stones have also been altered to create a specific vantage point for viewing star systems. So we're going to take a look at these things just for a little bit of further follow-up investigation to see if we can determine if these stones have been moved into place, and then also to take a look at the carvings that enabled the viewing of these specific alignments and conjunctions. As I stated at the end of, well, I'm going to put this all together in one video, but as I stated at the end of the site expedition to the Japanese Stonehenge, all of this was done for a twofold purpose, in my opinion. First, planning of the agricultural cycle. Second, for calculation and preparation for fluctuations of telluric currents and thunderstorm and lightning events that are directly related to solar and lunar tides, which have a direct effect on telluric currents, which then have an effect on the frequency and location for lightning storm events. As we've been discussing, these lightning events produce atmospheric chemical reactions that are also directly related to agriculture, specifically nitrogen fixing and the production of soluble nitrates in the atmosphere, which can then be carried down in the rain to fertilize the crops. It all comes back to chemistry and agriculture. So, with that being said, let's go check out these star viewing rocks and see what we can find.
Hello.
All right, so check this out. And this is pretty much what we saw yesterday. So you see this groove here. After seeing the structure yesterday, these grooves do not look naturally occurring.
Wow.
And I would imagine that this is also documenting a solar alignment where the sun shines in this crack at a certain time of year. And we've seen several of these megaliths throughout this park that have cracks through them, or, you know, unusual looking features that, after seeing the site yesterday and knowing what we know about the alteration of these stones, it's all indications that this site may also be a solar. Are we going the right way up this way?
Probably that way.
What did that sign say down there?
Oh, it's saying up this way.
Up this way.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. All right. Because that groove looks very similar to that first configuration of stones, the trilogy or trilithon group of stones. At that first site, there was a huge groove carved into the stone on the left. That one looks very similar. So again, going back to what I was saying, what is the probability that you find a stone that was randomly thrown into place by a volcanic eruption that just happens to be in the exact place where you can carve a groove out of it and be able to calculate a specific celestial alignment or solar event? There's another groove here at the top.
That one, right?
This looks like what we saw yesterday. It's a pretty square cut out of here. So what does that mean? Again, to reiterate, kind of out of breath, you don't just find random stones laying around that have the correct placement to be able to make small alterations that then do sophisticated astronomy calculations. So what does that mean? They had to move these things into place. Which is an absolutely crazy undertaking given the size of these stones.
And behind you.
Comes here. Do you think it's up here or the other side?
Let's put it this way. Let me check on the map.
Okay.
And you know, this kind of rocks, that, this could be one of the other rocks that the boat, you know, the one we're gonna see in Nara?
Yeah, there's mushrooms all over. All right. Look at the size of this. All right, I think we need to follow Teru. Is it down that way?
I think this is it.
This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're trying to find the actual viewpoint. Ah, here's the cutout.
And there's a little shrine.
Okay, yeah. And we should be able to see this a little better as we walk down. So let's go down so we can get a better vantage of this, because it's hard to show you what I'm looking at here. Yeah. And I don't want to, this rock is pretty steep.
Yeah.
Look at
I
that.
think over here, yeah. So these grooves, so this is probably 40 feet in the air, the top of that thing. This set of huge megaliths here. What does this one say?
It says that's the same.
This is the area. All right, I think this is the point. Yeah, here. Yeah, so this is the alignment point. Yeah, this was it. And they were saying that this section out here, right, this part was carved out, and the face of this here was also carved, and then the viewing point is out here somewhere in the stars is what they were viewing from these huge megaliths.
It's actually this way is north-south.
Right. So this is a direct north-south alignment. The same thing as what we saw yesterday at the Japanese Stonehenge. And so this crack here was artificial. This part here was most likely leveled out, and they know for sure that this part was removed. And in this cave here, for example, like we did yesterday, I mean, these things are huge. All right, here you can see the kanji. So there's some kanji carved in here, which is showing the importance of this area. And so, for example, they would say that through this aperture,
It says northern light gate.
the northern light gate,
Like a north gate.
The
But
north gate.
Middle character, I'm pretty sure like, yeah. Yeah, it's saying north gate. The middle character, I need to check, but
so this is not at all what I was expecting from this expedition to Japan. Was
this character study comes from like a Buddhist time period.
finding out about these type of constructions. And these celestial observatories. Whoa.
Yeah, so this is Hokutomon. Hey Jeff?
Yes.
Hokutomon kanji means the northern star.
The North Star, yeah. So Polaris, the North Star.
Yeah, you can see the north star through the crack. Yeah.
So he's saying that the interpretation of that little guidepost sign is that you can see the North Star through the crack. This is a crazy sight. And there's some more markings over here. There's a little, you know, Shinto shrine type thing over here. So these stones are even more massive than the stones we saw yesterday.
This is
And to imagine that any of this was moved into place is just a staggering amount of work. Again, not necessarily moved a far distance, but repositioned within the site, you know, uprighted or possibly moved on top to create these configurations for the precise alignments is pretty wild. This whole thing looks like it may have been artificially carved out here, and then this whole rock is just sitting right on top of this thing. Very much kind of like the Tsuzukishi dolmen. It seems to be very strategically placed, which is pretty crazy to think about. Again, let's go take a look at this viewing point again. Again, the mind that conceived of these calendars or calculators, it's pretty overwhelming to think about. And again, the descriptions here, these kanji and the little signpost says that this is North Star viewing point. So this again kind of raises more questions than answers. These are you know, double the size, if not triple the size of the stones.
We were saying the one yesterday was double the size of what we've seen before.
Yeah, yeah, the stones just keep getting bigger. And the ones yesterday definitely look like they were either set upright or moved into a specific configuration to create the foundation of the massive stone, and then they started carving. Technical difficulties. So as I was saying, establishing the mass of stone and the foundation for the structure by repositioning the stones and stacking them on top of each other. You then go in and carve out the grooves, reflective surfaces, sunlight viewing points, etc., to create this astronomy calendar, solar calculator, etc. Same thing here, where the bedrock, where all these huge boulders of granite are seated, is this volcanic ash stone. And it appears that the bedrock here may have been manipulated to where if these stones are positioned like this, they remove the bedrock under here of volcanic ash, which will crumble in your hands. It's very, very brittle. And we were just looking at an example at the beginning of the site where there was a boulder of granite sitting on a pillar of ash. So they could have very easily removed some of the ash bedrock to get the stones to tilt over to create this fusion, from which they removed the crack to create the viewing point, and also carved out these little alcoves. The same thing over here. This viewpoint is aligned directly north to south, and this cave is east to west, precisely aligned with the cardinal directions. So there's no way that this little cave is a naturally occurring cave, so it has to be artificial. So what does that mean? They removed some of the ash bedrock in here. Perhaps this stone was seated like this. They removed some of the ash bedrock, got the stone to tilt over, and then carved out some of the granite to excavate this passage and tunnel or cave through the stones here. And I was just testing on the magnetometer. Yesterday we found some fluctuations in the magnetic field on the southern stone compared to the northern stone. And so we have a magnetic field here. It's fluctuating at about 49.50, 48, 49.50. This is the southern facing stone. And then this one, it drops down to fluctuating between 40, 41, and 42. So there's a difference in the magnetic field in preference of the southern facing stone. Yeah, so it's 40, 41 here. And then if I move it back toward the south, yeah, we're back at 49, 49.50, 49.50. So my conclusion after visiting these two sites is that the stones may have been in this general vicinity. You know, they were already at the location of interest. Again, how do they find these things? So the stones were already here. They selected this site to be the viewing point because it had a massive amount of granite from which they could carve. However, the stones were not in the correct configuration. You know, they were spread around the site. So they had to be altered by removing bedrock or uprighting the stones, or again, the big undertaking was stacking the one yesterday on top of the other two. So they were moving these things and altering their position to create the mass and body of granite from which they then carved out these cracks, grooves, and reflecting surfaces. And these alcoves in here, I would imagine that this site has more alignments, not only solar or celestial, but also lunar. You know, if they were to study these things further, we were talking about that in the car after we left Japanese Stonehenge yesterday, that, you know, if they went out there at night and studied the lunar alignments, I guarantee there's also lunar alignments encoded in that site, not just solar, because these two things go hand in hand. And we've seen other stones throughout this megalithic park that do appear to have this man-made alteration with these strange grooves and flat surfaces. As we saw yesterday, these alcoves were carved out where sunlight will fall and illuminate these areas in these little caves. And this isn't just the mind of a primitive Stone Age Neolithic caveman that was carving out these things. This is a brilliant mind to conceive of this type of project, and not only to come up with the idea of doing this, but then to execute it, to precisely calculate and track these alignments is a work of art, a masterpiece Absolute genius. And not at all what I had expected to find on this trip. Of course, we were looking at stone circles and pyramid mountains and all of these things, but I did not expect to find or see this. Absolutely remarkable. All right, on to the next one.
All right, everyone, that is it for today's video. This was Sunday Site Visit 80 from the Kanayama and Hoshigami megalithic structures. I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and in the next episode in the series, we will continue our investigation of the bizarre megalithic structures of ancient Japan with an up-close examination of the mysterious Ishi no Hoden, the floating stone. This is an episode you do not want to miss, so if you haven't already, please subscribe to The Land of Chem here on YouTube. Click that little notification bell, like, comment, and stay tuned. If you want to help support the channel, check out the Land of Chem members only channel and thelandofchem.com. If you want to pick up a copy of the book or grab some merch, links in the video description below. If you want to follow me on Instagram or on X, my handle is @thelandofchem. Also, don't forget, after you finish watching this video, please go subscribe to Let's Go with Lex and G so you don't miss out on the rest of the amazing content from our Japan adventure. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you all so much for the support. I think that is it for today's episode. So I will see you next time.
Yo, are you still watching this? Please subscribe to The Land of Chem here on YouTube and click that little notification button. New videos coming out every single week. And check out this other episode. Come on, do it. Do it now.